Okay, my friends, this is extremely exciting for me. I got a new computer set up, a whole new setup, Linux, ready to go, and I just clicked on something and my old videos popped up from the first set of videos I put up there back in 2014, 2015. I thought I lost them. And for some reason they're here, but all of them are turned into private, unlisted, so nobody's ever seen them. Now, I'm going to start the new school, and I'm going to go back to this one here, back to 2014, July of 2014, when I first started posting them about my discoveries. And then I finally opened Mudfossil University not that much longer because I realized there was no interest in examining what was right in front of their faces. So I said, well, I'll do it myself because I have the evidence. Well, it was so suppressed, and now somehow everything got turned into private. I remember this whole thing cloudy, basically, because it was a real nightmare. I got to be honest with you. It was a very, very serious time in my life, knowing these things and having them, everybody go against me. I mean, literally everybody. And I just, you got to weather the storm. But being able to find this was absolutely amazing. So we're going to start off by looking at a couple of these. I'm just going to filter through some of them and show you what we're going to be digging through, because this is going to be in the new school. Now, the fun part about this for me is going to be that a lot of this is going to be wrong. I guarantee you that, no question. Because I have learned well, let me put it this way. I try not to ever just present something because I think that that's what it is. I literally always want material evidence. And that, to me, if you don't have the facts, you don't have the evidence, you don't have something to support you and stand on, you have no claim. You have no claim. So that's why I will show you why I made my claims, what I based those claims on, and were those claims correct, and are they still correct? Or were they wrong, and are they still wrong? Or were they wrong, and did I correct them? There's a whole bunch of ways to look at this, but it's going to be fun. Okay, my friends, I am going to go over this video, which is the first one. Let me show you something. I had 63 videos up here, and they took it as a challenge, and I meant it as a challenge because nobody would listen to me. So I put history challenge number 1. Now this goes back to 2014, 10 years ago. 91 views, and somehow it got marked private. I never made it private, I made it open. So this is a little foggy looking, and I'm going to turn off the sound, and I'm going to play little clips and explain what I was saying at that time. But I just went through this, and it was very, very detailed, and it was very hard to believe that somebody couldn't understand this. And I went from there to being upset and getting the DNA tests and all that, and so that's just a done deal. It's fully known now, and it's still suppressed. All right, what I'm going to do is play this with the captions on so that I'll sort of word it as we go along here. All right, this is some of the evidence. And I can only conclude under logical conclusion that this is a giant human. These are giant human beings. And this is the evidence I have. I'm going to start with this. That's a fingertip. And I show it here anatomically, and I show the little holes and all this stuff that you can see, the bone pattern stain. I have that here now. I still have all this. And these are all of the hold on a second, I'm just going to stop it right here. These are all of the veins and arteries in here. And one side has the arteries, and the other side has the veins. The veins clamp off, but the arteries do not. It's around here somewhere. I should get a little more ready for these things, I suppose. But anyway, it's around here somewhere. I'm just going to keep going. Now, it has holes on the side, back here, and on the sides where the artery was. Okay, so this was from 10 years ago. I had the sound shut off, and you'll see the captions come up. And I just started off by saying this is a challenge, and it's some of the evidence that I have that supports, and I can only conclude under logical conclusions, this is giant human beings. These things are evidence that I have found. I'm going to start with this, which is this piece right here. All right, so let me just, I'm pointing to it up here as the anatomical, this piece right here. That's the distal phalanges, that bone black. You should be able to see that dark spot. That's the vein right there, and that's the artery. The veins clamp off, so you get these. The arteries blow out, so you get these. And that's, you see this, that's the thing. Now, this is 10 years ago. I knew that. That is exactly correct, and I stand behind that 100%. So I showed it up here, and I pointed it out. And then I came to showing all the things that I just showed you a second ago. Just that, and on closer later, there's also blood flow, the arteries and the veins that go in here and in the fingers. It's intensely flooded with blood. They're just saturated. All right, you see there's two holes at the bottom, on the sides, and at the top, and on the other side. It's the digital terminus. All right, these are the arteries. I got to run a little fast. And at the end is the vein on this side, and on that side, which I'm pointing out now, as the veins. They don't blow out because they have clamps. All right, so it died in a manner, and I show where it drains out this way, it drained out the back way. Almost all of them died flat in the flood. It drained out down through the holes. Now, that is the knuckle. Right there, I pointed out on the chart. That's the knuckle right there. That's the bone ball. And on the other side is actually the meat, which is the muscle. Hold on a second. All right, what I'm showing you right there is this. This is the bone ball. And this ring here would have been the calcium, the calcium part of the bone. And this was where the marrow was inside. Now this side, see, there's the bone ball here. This side still has the muscle. You see the muscle right there? That is the tendon, and that's the little tab. Whoops, right there. You see that little tab? Little circle right there. That circle is where the muscle starts to take over. That's tendon right there. Then the muscle takes over and allows you to pull your finger back and forth. It died laying flat like this, completely eroded. This was part of this fingertip. I have the complete hand, and I have other fingers. There's another fingertip right here. This was CAT scan. That piece broke off, so I can see the bone under here too. And it's not completely transitioned into mud. A lot of these have transitioned so completely into mud that it's hard to extract any. Now, I drilled a hole in this one. We were going to try to get DNA out of it, but well, I did get DNA out of this actually, and it was tested and verified that it's human. The human mitochondrial DNA. All right, it's a little different than human. Trust me, it's from a human. Now, and I got this here, this giant hair follicle. Giant hair follicle. I've shown it a bazillion times. Muscle goes here so you can pull up and down. That's what a muscle looks like where it attaches. Basically, it's the same as what I'm showing you here. Right there. That little spot is where the muscle attached from the tendon. All right, and I show that on this one. I go through this because I got all the medical books here. I mean, and this is about as deep as it gets. So I have nothing to apologize for here. I'm making statements I can stand behind, and I will. But I need somebody to stand in front of me. Now, so I said this going away if it fractured off right here. I showed that little spot. Now, let's keep going here. All right, so now I'll be holding this up. There it is. comes down. It breaks right off at the knuckle. Runs down. Let me just get to another spot that has anything. You know, I just showed you what that is. It is what it is. Now, I showed this one, which is a bone, and this is still the cartilage up here, which usually it separates off. I have other ones that the cartilage didn't stay attached. This one's very good. And there's the two little spots where the blood vessels or nerves come up through the top of the bone. And there's a ligament here and a bone foramen. And they come down like this. And I show this, I'm doing this exact same thing. I think it's like a wrist, something like that, or ankle. And the bone breaks off. That's the bone. It would have come down, I don't know how long. Like a dog bone coming down here. And, I don't know. But it's a bone. Of that, there is no question. And with the microscope, you can look and see all the blood vessels. It still has that one little tiny white spot there. I don't know if you'll ever be able to see that. No, well, maybe you can. A little tiny white spot's the last piece of bone that's left. They transition, but occasionally you do find just a taste of bone here and there. But they can transition into anything. Like this right here, this is a membrane from some gigantic creature. And that's where the membrane is. And this was supposed to be phospholipids on both sides. Well, they turned into aluminum silicates. And the fluid-filled highway was here. I'm pretty deep on this. And, of course, we got the new species that are needed to be looked into. Built-in soul. Maybe call him Soul Man, I don't know. I was going to call him No-Toe. We have a whole variety of different creatures. This is just unaccepted. I'm not allowed. It's not that I don't have them, it's just not allowed to be seen. I showed a few other things, and I said these are the kind of things that I have here, and I have lots of them, which I do. You see that? That is another fingertip, I'm telling you right now. And that's where the blood is, as I showed before, this would be the artery side, and that's the vein side clamps off. But they have like separations in between them. And this is some of where the tendons lock into the fingertip. I've looked at this very carefully. It's a fingertip. Of that, there is no question. And that's about, I don't know, 12 inches, 15 inches maybe, something like that. See, I'm saying this is blood running out of here. You look at these things in the microscope, you can see these kind of things. One side was the artery side and one side was the vein side. So that's why you got two different holes at the end. Now, let me see what else I had to say. I can't remember. All right, but this was blood that ran out, which is probably is all tectonite. That is all magnetic. It's magnetic. So I don't know. This actually could be a meteorite. I got to look at this again because I do have a meteorite here that is right here. Hold on one second. Interesting. Very interesting. This is like the tendon enthesis, and that is also. Did this cook off coming through space? This did, I know that. Because right here, it still has wet blood on it, right here, because they come through wet, and that exploded. This, I put a little water on there, and that'll turn brilliant red, as you will see right now. Watch, you see it's dull brown? Well, you put a little bit of water, and instantaneously it turns blood red because it is blood. That came through space wet. And because it was wet, it bubbled. And because it bubbled, the separation plate, which came straight across like that, popped off because of the explosion of the gases. And everything else cooked off. This is the thickness of the skin. Whatever this is, I don't know. But this is the thickness of the skin, well, the lower part of the skin, the basement layer. Everything else cooked off. And you got down to the tendon anthesis, which is the end of the tendons where they lock in. And your vein and artery is here. That's the artery, that's the vein. I cut it, obviously. So, and this is a meteorite. It's got blood in them. They all have blood in them. That could be a meteorite. I forgot that was magnetic. You know, this goes back 10 years. I probably haven't looked at that thing in probably 8 or 9 years. Okay, here's another one I had at that time. This little fingertip. That is a fingertip. And that is the red blood that is coming out of here, because the red blood is fluid. It moved right out. And this has like little crystals. There's a nice little shiny red crystal here at the end. And it had blood drained out. And when it died, it was like this. And I know that exactly how it laid, because this is a layer of blood at the bottom, see it? And it died laying just about like that. And all that blood ran down, and the red blood ran out. The rest, the fingernail and all that stuff, this is called nucleophilic transition. It just changes depending upon what the chemistry was in the area it died. Even like these little crystals. All of this stuff we'll be looking at in a microscope, which I did in all of these videos. I gave a lot of detail. I'm surprised at how much I did back then. So far it's been pretty good. Yeah, you see this? This is a tendon. That's a tendon. This is part of it right here. That's this one. I broke it apart, and that is the thickness of what they call a slurpee. It's the slippery outside of a tendon. And you see it's that thick. And inside is the really tough stuff. And they have to slide among each other. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of them in a bundle. And that's the slurpee. But inside is the really tough stuff. Now, you see the size of this thing? This was that fingertip. I got to look at this again, because this is a lot of biology going on there. And I can see the vein and the artery at the end, which this would be the artery side. When they have the bumps like that, that's where the artery side is. The other vein side just fills, where'd it go? Well, anyway, that's what happens. One side doesn't get too messed up, and the other side bumps down into the arteries. Yeah, I got to look at this thing again. This is the other side. This one here, I was on, I don't know, maybe the bottom. This appears to be the top, but I can easily see the vein and the artery. This is the other side. Now let's go back to that. This side you can see is not the same as the other side, where we're looking back here. I wish I had a better shot of it, which I don't. Well, I still have it here. It's just it's kind of heavy. You can see this is it's no question to me now. I can see it now. I understand it. And this, of course, is a tendon. And all of this is on my property. These things were giant. They must have been literally everywhere on Earth. This was also DNA tested. This is a lung. It's flat because it died in the Great Flood, which indicates that a lot of this stuff about God could very well be as advertised. I'm not going to say what you shouldn't believe. That's up to you. I just want you to see what supports the things that can be supported. And you know, a lot of this goes against everybody, but you got to take it into consideration. And I think I have a good idea right now of the whole meaning of life and Jesus Christ and everything, and why he came and why he sacrificed himself the way he did. I think I have a very good grip on this thing now. And it's like Jesus said, when you find, seek until you find. When you find, you will be disturbed. And then you will marvel. And then he says you will reign over all, which, whatever that means. But he also says, my Father has many mansions. And I'm taking this as he wants somebody good to go over there and run that mansion. That's what I'm hoping for. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to understand what you're looking at and not hide away from it. It's too much shunning away from reality. That, my friends, God said, I have no greater joy than to see that my children walk in truth. And he said, when they suppress you, the false teachers, the rocks will cry out. Because they came and he said, Jesus, suppress your disciples. Tell them to shut up. And he said, if I tell them to be quiet, the very rocks will cry out. And I'm finding so much of reality that I would have never suspected. I thought those people were crazy. I really did. I'm not hiding from it. That's the truth. I said, these people are insane. There's no proof to show what they're saying. And all of a sudden, I got all the proof. And now I know the ones that can't tolerate the truth are the ones that are teaching. And they have a very, very interesting way of doing this, where you have to say what they say, or they keep your money, tell everybody you're stupid. So what do? They say you can't get a good job until you get a piece of paper from these people. So you go, you give them a bunch of money, and then they say, here's what you say. And you say, well, what about this? No, don't do that. If we give you a fail there, you're going to look like an idiot. Okay, whatever you say. Now, what would you do? This is the problem. So Trump hopefully will get this under control. That's what we're looking for. All right, thank you, and stay tuned. This is only the first one. This is History Challenge 1. The next one will be History Challenge 2. Isn't that amazing? Just like one right after the other. And it goes way, way, way up. There's 63 of these videos. And at this time, I was against the whole world. So let's see what I came up with next. I can't remember any of this stuff. I got to be honest with you. You see that? This is where some green moss is growing into the blood that was red at one time, I believe. Now, the other side appears to be much more eroded than this side, which would indicate to me it was laying down on the other side. And now let's take a look at that other side, because that's where everything would drain. But this is where the apical tuft would be, right up at the end, and all these tendons come up and lock into that. Let's go back and see if we can find. Yeah, you see that? Look at this. And that's the artery, and that's the vein at the tip. This was I believe it was laying this way. This was up, and this side was down. So I really got to dig back into it, but let's see. That's a lot of erosion out of there. I would say that's down, and this was actually in the mud, so I'm pretty sure of that. You can see a different color texture when they're in the ground and in the mud. It's like, it's like this here. Versus, well, you can't really tell much of a difference. But a lot of time, well, here's a foot. Hold on. All right, this, I say, died like this. It's some kind of weirdo creature, but it's like almost human. Now, you see how it's all brown? Look at the stuff there. This side has, like, it was laying on this side. Can you see that? No, you can't. No, you can. No. I say it was laying like this. And this side has that brown, sort of glossy look to it. And this side does not. A little bit different. Some of them are a lot different. Now, this, I believe, was down, and this is that muddy spot that touches it. And the other one, this side was up. That's why it's doesn't have that. Well, I lost it. But anyway, that's the side it was down, in my opinion. You see the arteries. I mean, I can dig this out and go back through it again, but like I say, it's pretty heavy. That's the one right there. You can see it's just sort of brownish. It doesn't have that kind of a look to it, that stuff. If that makes sense to you. And I'm almost certain that's the artery and that's the vein, and this is just where blood ran out of it. And it sort of eroded at that spot. But the other side was up, and it didn't erode. But a little bit of blood bubbled up through the top, and that's where that moss is growing. Okay, so that's just to give you a little taste of what you're going to see. This is number 63 of 63 videos. This was the beginning, July 2014, when I got fed up with everything, and I said, well, I'm just going to give them a challenge. Challenge 1, challenge 2, challenge 3, and it went up from there, 63 videos, until finally I don't know what happened. I'm just going to forget. That's ancient history. It happened. It got closed down. Why? I don't know. Just let's go forward from today. All right, so let's see if this makes sense. And it did then, and it does now, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I just came across this, and this is Desert Drifter. Was out here on this giant block of stone. I had commented on this months ago. He was in a terrible, terrible car accident just a few days ago, and he got a traumatic brain injury. It looks very, very, very serious. So if you got any good vibes to give him out for Desert Drifter, and the guy was fabulous. He was going all over the place. I was really enjoying watching what he was doing, and I hope he comes through this. And it didn't look good. All right, throw some prayers to Desert Drifter. Anyway, I love you all, and you know, every day cherish it. All right, love you all. Goodbye.